Hey, what's up guys? Chris here. Hope everyone had a good Esther. Hope everyone had a good Easter. You guys know what I mean. Esther is here in War of the Visions. So in this video, I want to go over quickly for free to play and light spenders, what you should be looking at, whether or not you should be pulling for Esther, some of the units or vision cards you should have on your account before you think about pulling on her. We're going to take a quick look at her kit. Then we're going to look at the units and vision cards that will probably work best with her in order to help you decide whether or not you're going to be going for her. And then we'll take a look at a couple different teams that can work really well with Esther as well. Basically, for everybody who, whether you play Lightning, you don't play Lightning, you're a new player, we'll have a couple different options at the end of this video as well as we look at those teams. If you guys like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in. Let's jump right into this. So Esther, she's obviously the new global exclusive unit that we're getting in War of the Visions. Come on, we all knew it was coming, kinda. They kind of tipped their hand with that slash attack bonus in the guild battle map. But as we go ahead and look at some of the things that we see in her kit, we know she's going to be this precursor main job, paladin sub job, thief sub job, and you can see right here, right off the top, I wanted to basically point out she's going to be a must-have for Lightning, and I kind of wavered a little bit between must-have and just like strongly consider, as I normally do in these planning guides. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna err on the side of history that tells me, number one, global exclusive unit, number two, cost 100. Pretty much every single global exclusive unit, whether she's part of that global festival or not, I don't think she is. I think she's like a one-off, kind of like More the Merrier or Lara Croft. I don't think she's part of those festival units, but pretty much every global exclusive unit has basically been defining for their element. So I would say there's no reason to believe that Esther won't be completely defining for the lightning element. You are Zazon, Lara Croft, Elena, Ibarra. I mean, the list goes on of units that are really, really good, that are global exclusive units. Even the quote worst ones are like Frievia, and she still is a really, really good unit after some of the upgrades they made to her. So that's reason number one. I'm just gonna say, let's not undersell Esther. She's a global exclusive unit. They're going to make her very, very strong. And the second piece is that cost 100 piece that's right here. Guys, even the worst cost 100 units in the game, which you could maybe argue are like Gilgamesh and Ruin Stern, they're still very, very solid units. So even if she's somehow the worst global exclusive unit and she's the worst cost 100 unit, if you put both of those things together, she's still going to be a very, very strong lightning unit, probably meta defining for this lightning element. I'm thinking she might even replace Cloud as a damage dealer. She might even replace Charlotte as a tank in a lot of different teams. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but she's going to be an absolute must-have for Lightning. So if you play Lightning main, find a way to get Esther. She's going to be probably a useful unit for at least 10 to 12 months minimum, I would say, for Lightning mains. Now I have this consider for fire main accounts, and the only reason I put that on here is if you kind of want to run one of those misdirect teams in like guild battle, you lead off with like Terra or King Mont or Satia on the front of your team, thinking that people are going to come after you with that Celeste and Astrius team. Astoria is going to be named Astrius in global. That's still going to be a very strong water team, and as a fire main, you're probably really worried about that team, but you could run like Terra and King Mont and then hide Esther in the back in order to protect that team from those two, because I'll bet she's going to completely demolish those two units, as we'll talk about a little bit as we get into her kit. Otherwise, I think she's a pass. I think if you don't play Lightning, you don't have Lightning units, you don't have Lightning vision cards, just like Cloud, she's going to be a good damage dealer and she's going to do a lot of things well, but again, to get the most out of her, you're going to have to build a lot of things towards Lightning, similar to Elena. Like Elena is one of those units that she's a really good unit, but if you don't have all the matching light vision cards, you don't have her like matching gear, you don't have a bunch of evasion stuff for her, like she'll be solid, but she's not going to be meta breaking for you. Esther's going to be kind of the same way. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of the abilities that we know are going to be in here. Bunny Bolt Blitz. Yeah, Bunny Bolt Blitz raises defense, piercing, lowers slash attack resistance. This is an AoE. This is going to be kind of a theme in her kit. You can see she's going to have a lot of defense piercing. She's going to have a lot of slash attack resistance. You pair this with like Trust Master runes or Trust Stones. I keep messing that one up. You pair this with like Trust Stones or like Oldoa's TMR. You could probably get her to ignore almost all of the defense or all of the slash resistance, or maybe even both. Very clearly geared towards doing damage to Asterisk. Bolting Strike lowers unit attack resistance. That's kind of nice, going to be really good for raids and PvE. That's really important. She's not just going to be a PvP unit. We also know that she has what appears to be in some of the videos some chaining abilities too. It might be multi-hit, we don't know. She's got this raises area attack of allies around her and then bestows a barrier. So just like Elena has her own physical barrier, not having to use that Paladin's Saintly Wall, she's going to have her own barrier too. Something that a lot of people are pointing out. This is a physical damage barrier, so she probably will still be pretty susceptible to magic. Elena, magic damage. Jaden, magic damage. But there's not a lot of strong earth magic units right now. So maybe that's kind of going to keep her relevant for a long time in terms of that elemental balance. A couple other abilities that we know that she has. I believe we know she has some sort of barrier breaking ability as well. Of course, why wouldn't she? And then her sub-jobs, Thief, Paladin. The things we know she's going to have is this sneak attack right here. They mentioned that in the video. That's a guaranteed hit, which obviously is going to be really important for evasion meta. And then we also have, we know she's going to have Immortal Spirit from that Paladin sub-job. So we know that she's going to be able to give herself Courage, which again, she's going to play a lot like a Lightning Elena, it looks like. Maybe without that evasion. But that is something I wanted to bring up. There is a chance that in her Thief sub-job, she gets Shadow Cast, which increases evasion by a whole ton. She probably won't have any evasion passives in her main job. However, we do know that she's going to have really, really high dexterity. They mentioned that in the video, so she might have one of the highest dexterity stats in the game. We don't know what her luck stat is going to look like, but if she has high base luck, high base agility based on this Thief sub-job, high base dexterity, so dexterity, agility, and luck, she might be able to be used as an evasion unit. Remember, Lightning doesn't really have a UR evasion unit. She might be like a pseudo evasion unit when you combined something like Shadow Cast, her base stats, and then TMRs. You might actually get her to be kind of evasive. That would be really, really scary. If that's actually an option in her kit, look out. She's going to be even better than we think. But some other things we might mention, she could probably have this Holy Knight's protection from Paladin, increasing defense, having that option. She might have Taunting Blade also from that Paladin sub-job, something to look out for. I have the description wrong here, but we all know what Taunting Blade does. And then lastly, she'd probably have this Thief lore that increases agility. So I imagine with this Thief sub-job, she'll have some agility on her job board. I imagine with this Paladin sub-job, she'll have some defense on her job board. So we'll be looking at a unit that has base defense on her job board and that probably is pretty fast. I'm imagining she's going to be a pretty fast unit, especially if she has a passive that adds agility and she also gets Thief lore. She might have two passives that can add agility. All right, let's take a look at some of the units and vision cards that you want to basically pair around her. And this is part of that planning aspect. So if you have some of these units or vision cards, then you probably should plan. The units, it's pretty obvious. Cloud, Renan, Ibarra, Charlotte. I think if you have any two of these four units and you pair them with her, you're going to have a great team. I don't think there's a best. I think you can have a couple different options of you can play a little tankier or you could play a little more on the offensive side. And we'll take a look at a couple of those teams in a second. But again, I think if you have any two of these four units, you can pair them with Esther. You're going to have a pretty good team. If you don't have two of these four units, if you only have one, or maybe you're like a newer player and you don't have any of them, or you have Charlotte and you're still building Charlotte, I don't know. I would consider, if you really, really want Esther, then consider Lightning a long-term plan. Don't expect to get a whole lot of like immediate like PvP use out of Esther if you don't have a couple of these units. Some other units that you might be able to pair with her, 9S, not a super popular unit, but he does have a pretty solid kit in terms of support, debuffs on the enemy team. And he also has slash attacks on his Nightblade sub-job. So when you pair him with Esther, Cloud, and some of these vision cards, you can actually do a lot of damage with 9S also. So I'm going to play around with this. I have a 120 9S, so I'll probably play around with this pairing with Esther. And then this unit you guys may not recognize, but this is Resnick, I believe. She is kind of like a Lightning Ayaka, I guess is the best way to. Well, she's more like the Fire Selection Quest White Mage for Lightning. So she's a devout unit, I believe. A lot of healing, support, increases defense and spirit. She can increase lightning attack of allies. So she's actually going to be a dark horse, a unit that if you don't have some of these and you're looking to building for lightning in the future. You can hope to pull Resnick when she comes out. And then in the B tier, I do have Queen. She's going to be free coming from Persona 5. Probably not the best to pair with Esther, but again, she's going to be free. So it's a pretty good option for new players or for players who don't want to spend in order to build up their lightning element. I have Nivlu here, but really you could build any non-specific lightning unit here. You could probably pair with like Skahal or Frederica. Again, suboptimal, but there are ways in which you could build teams, I'm sure, that could be successful. And I wanted to throw Orlando on here too, because if Gumi were smart, if they really wanted like everybody to pull for Esther, the day she came out or this week, they would announce Final Fantasy Tactics 120 EX. Can you imagine if everyone like was planning for that 120 Orlando and knew Esther was going to be this one-off? The rush to get Esther would be huge. Or if they announced like Final Fantasy 13 and Lightning, right, for JP. Those are two options that could be really huge, but Orlando, I'm sure in the future, his 120 EX will be really great whenever we get it. Lightning Vision cards, there's really 3 in the S tier in my mind. You're obviously going to want to pick up her card. They've tailored this just for her. Slash attack resistance, penetration, HP, and some other bonuses just for her. But the big one is going to be Scorpion Sentinel. Scorpion Sentinel is like, for Lightning Slash, this is the best card. Hands down, actually just for really lightning physical damage. You really need this card. And I think without Scorpion Sentinel, Esther is going to not be as strong of a damage dealer. There are ways that you can replace the 50% attack on this card, but it's going to take you a couple extra vision cards to do it. So this one is the most important to me, followed by this. If you guys don't know what this card is, I have a must on this card as well. This is coming out here in a few weeks. I think it comes out right before Little Leela Beautiful Blade. This is a lightning card that adds 15% agility and it adds water resistance. But the 15% agility, I have this as a must. She's going to be a fast unit. We already know that. 15% more agility and then water resistance. This is just like that. Hey, my team is automatically going to beat water. As if lightning against water wasn't already going to be unbalanced, this card just makes sure of it. 20% more water resistance, going to make taking out Astraeus and Celeste even easier. So if you do plan on pulling Esther, make sure you set aside 10,000 in the next couple weeks. Save up for this vision card. Some of the other cards you can use, we have Europa, we have a Barra's card. And then I have a Gion on here. This one probably the most important if you're playing Lightning Slash, as it adds slash attack, accuracy, and it can actually add more slash attack resistance penetration to the unit carrying it. So this might be a good sub VC just for Esther. That's why I have this sub here with a question mark. You could still run it as a main VC. Also, these two cards are based around magic a lot more, so you're only going to use these two cards if you have like Ibarra or Renan. I don't, so I won't be using these two cards. I think there's ways where you can build this lightning team without having these two cards if you're going all physical damage. Obviously, if you have either of Renan or Ibarra, they're going to be carrying these cards in this team. So again, vision cards, way more important in defining these teams and whether or not Esther is going to be good for you or not. You could literally have none of these top 4 units, but if you had all these vision cards maxed, I think you could make very competitive lightning teams. So really focus on what vision cards you have and what you want to do with that. Lastly, Coeurl, it's a MR card, adds lightning attack. I think it's the only card, there's no UR card that adds just flat lightning attack in the game. So Coeurl, always a good card that you can throw in there in any lightning team as a main card or a sub card. Again, this has a dex bonus on it, as well as I think Ibarra's card is the one that has a dexterity bonus to increase her base dexterity. All right, let's look at some of the teams that you could probably build with Esther. Number 1, we have Thick Thunder. And by the way, this artwork right here, this is Giant's artwork of Esther before she came out. It's very close to the actual artwork. If you guys don't know who Giant is, if you're part of Dr. Diggs community, you guys know who Giant is. Anyway, really great artwork. He does all the artwork for Diggs channel as well, the great mole artwork, but really good at drawing moles and sexy bunny lightning sword wielders. Renan, Esther, Charlotte. This is going to be a really tanky team. Esther, I think, is going to be a lot like a lot of people are saying like a lightning version of Noctis in terms of tankiness. So not super fragile like the way Cloud can be one shot by basically everybody. Esther will not be that, especially if you sub job Paladin. You add some of those passives like we talked about before that can increase her defense. You can probably get her defense up to something like 30, 40, 50 with gear. So she's going to be very resistant to physical attacks. Charlotte, very resistant to magic attacks. Renan, resistant to everything. So I think this is going to be one of those teams that's really good for something like guild battles on defense, as you can waste like a lot of your enemy team's abilities, just tanking abilities, soaking up damage. She has some self-healing in her kit as well. And Charlotte also has some self-healing in her kit as well. So a lot of different ways in which this is going to be a very tanky, very annoying team to deal with. I think Renan's actually better choice here than Ibarra. Ibarra's more focused on damage. Speaking of damage, this is going to be like your glass cannon damaged lightning team. You can include Ibarra, you can use Cloud, you can see how you can use any of those 4 lightning units we talked about to make a really, really good lightning team. So this is more on the attack side, Ibarra using her card, Cloud using Scorpion Sentinel, and then Esther using her card. So yeah, a lot of different ways you can build lightning. I think you can go more defensively now, which lightning before, you kind of could have that option with both Charlotte and Renan, but Esther is going to add a slightly tankier part to that team. So moving on, here's another team you can do that maybe you're brand new to the game. This is something you can roll right out of the gate here in the next couple weeks. If you pull for Esther and her vision card, you can use Queen, who's going to be free. And then I have Frederica in here because, you know, of course, I have Frederica in here. Right here, guys. But really in this spot, you could use any non-limited lightning unit. Like you could use Nivlu, Frederica, probably Charlotte would be the best in a team like this if you're brand new. So if you're a new player, you want to like start a new account and focus on lightning, Esther, Queen, a good place to start here in the next couple of weeks. I have this vision card here. There's actually some overlap with Esther's card. The MR card from Persona 5, not the greatest card, but it is lightning focused. So it is a card that you can use. So again, probably Charlotte, Esther, Queen would be your best option if you are starting a new account or you have nothing for lightning and you're like, I want to build towards lightning and build it around Esther, a pretty good unit to do it. This would be a good place to start with Queen and Esther. And then lastly, this is probably a team that I'm going to look at running some variation of. Cloud and Esther, going to be probably huge slash damage, defense, piercing, crit rate, crit damage, all sorts of damage here. And then if you hide a wind unit in the back, right, all these people with UR Zazan and with Oberon and Noctis are probably salivating at the idea of another lightning unit coming out and a lot of people playing lightning. So if you lead off with Cloud or Esther in that front spot in guild battles, you're going to get all those people with these earth teams thinking, oh, I have an easy win in front of me. Because let's make no mistake, I think Oberon and Noctis and UR Zazan are going to be pretty good against Esther. You can hide a wind unit here in that back slot. So like Halloween Leela, More the Merrier, Winter Luartha are some pretty good examples. June, probably the best example. But Halloween Leela, she's got healing, she's got full life, she's got some other stuff, but you could really hide any of those top tier wind units in the back here and really cause problems for those earth teams that attack you. So obviously, if somebody comes after you in that first attack, once they see this team, they probably won't come after you with an earth team again. But this is probably something I'm going to try, is hiding one of these high-powered wind units behind Esther and Cloud. See how that works, see if we can fool some people. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts? Are you going to be pulling for Esther or not? I think I will. I don't have Renan or Ibarra, but this is probably what I'm going to be looking at doing, pairing her with Cloud. I might try some stuff with Frederica and 9S as well, but it should be a pretty cool unit. We know she's going to be strong, guys. I want to reiterate that before I finish up this video. She is going to be strong. She's going to be very strong, global exclusive, cost 100. Do not underplay how good she is. I personally underplayed Elena and Ibarra a little bit. I'm not going to make that mistake with Esther. I'm going to err on the side of caution, say she's going to be meta for lightning. I'm just going to say it. So what do you guys think? Are you pulling for Esther? What kind of teams are you looking forward to playing with her? Love to hear you guys' thoughts. Anyway, happy Esther, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one.